North American team currently. But with that being said, Hive did have a bit of a rocky start. And even when they played against Elevate, again, that was one that I expected them to dominate. Not because I don't believe in Elevate, but just because of who Hive is. But they didn't dominate. So therefore, they've really got to clean it up and get back in that mindset that we are the best team. We are the team that can potentially win a major. We just need to see that energy come out tonight. But for PK, honestly, this map one, Ryan, they're the ones who need to step it up because Hive, they're going to be able to perform because I saw them do it last night.
Absolutely, and you're going to see Hive getting that first blood. You're going to see a fight. INZEM is going to win for that weapon, so that will be an M-bar in the hands of Hive, Hill in the hands of Hive, and it looks like they are winning the numbers and the Hill. So good start for them. PK going to come off the spawn, gather their utility, and go for this retake. It looks like they're going to try to pinch from that left side. You're going to see in the meantime PK grabbing the grenades as well. So a lot of utility, a lot of weaponry in the hands of Hive.
Yeah, quite a bit indeed, and they also strike first and get the early points. I like the fact that they are set up on the right side of the map. Naturally, we know rotating over for the next is going to be very important. I'm sure PK is going to be doing that shortly, but Monkyz trying to bot walk up, finally slides around the corner. INZEM is waiting for Monkyz, tries to swing it wide, but INZEM, he is too wise for that. Now PK, all they can hope for is they spawn up, but unfortunately, they're not going to have the chance because INZEM is already in the hill on that top side, so PK forced on the opposite end. That's a long jog, and they also have to avoid the 3 shots from INZEM's M-bar.
Yeah, they got a lot of vision, right? You can see with the marks as well. They know pretty much where the members of PK are moving. It's already going to be the fight for the next hill. INZEM is going to be ready. Some early pistol damage. Does have that M-bar in hand. He is going to take it out. Hasn't decided to get a shot off just yet. It's going to miss one right through that crack, but the second one is going to connect. Good revive coming through as well. So numbers now starting to favor the boys on Hive.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Hive, they've got to be feeling good at this point. I mean, they have spawn control. They've got a person who's going to be on the flank for Pittsburgh Knights. That's going to be Monkyz. But even if Monkyz pushes up, you have to assume he's going to be by himself, and he will be. That was great teamwork from Demise, INZEM, as they take down 2 players of Dezo and Sumuns. Monkyz really not a leg to stand on. He is going to try to lock in some type of spawn control. Still plenty of time to work with, Ryan. So at this point, PK has one more attempt that they can make, and Monkyz could very well be the X factor.
And you can see Solurs doesn't know he's there, so Monkyz is going to hold this position, wait for the flank as the fight starts to ensue. Now they're going to have a pinch from both angles, so good patience by Monkyz. This should be an easy 2-piece. There's one.
Oh,
second shot's not going to connect. There you go. That's the second one. That was going to connect. Can he make it a third? He spots the other 2 players. Good stuff coming through from Monkyz. This should be enough for the Pittsburgh Knights to grab this hill. INZEM will fall. Great patience coming through from Monkyz. A lot of players would have just run right behind Solurs the second they saw him, but he waited till the right time to strike, so that's great comms coming through from the Knights.
Yeah, well said. I think a lot of players in that spot would have got a bit antsy, pushed up, and, well, you would have been by yourself in a 1vX situation. Not the best point to be in, but getting that pinch and obviously picking up those 2 players from Hive. Kind of discombobulated. I think more so surprised Hive to the point where they really didn't have a leg to stand on once PK started pushing from the front. We'll move on to the 3rd hill. Hive, once again, has early rotated over. They were doing a great job doing that against Elevate yesterday, and they were also winning more of the team fights. But I expect PK to be a little bit more ready to go in those team fights in general. I wish I had Colin here to kind of count those, but after all, I think it's been very back and forth at this point in time. But PK, they're going to try and go from the statue side, push up. Dezo needs this connection so he can open up a lane, but he's going to go ahead and go with his team straight in.
And Dezo's just waiting for the right time to strike, right? You're going to wait for his teammates to start to kind of get some initial damage in there, make them pop their head up so he can strike with that M-bar. He's going to move closer and closer. You're going to see TJ and Hive, though, getting patient. Kill's starting to come in left and right. Dezo's going to connect with the body shot. Will it be enough? Hive, you do have reinforcements. He is going to fall, so not a ton of use coming out of that M-bar. Now it's kind of up to Monkyz in a tough spot. Solurs will end up taking him out. A great hold coming through from Hive, despite the power up and control of the Knights.
Yeah, well done, and PK knows, look, we need to get Solurs and Co out of this spot. We need to gain some momentum, or at least, you know, at least one side of the map. Solurs does everything he can with the shots from the Lancer, but it's not going to be enough. TJ will come in with the bait and switch, but not much of a bait. I guess it was just a switch, as he's going to die off just like his teammate did. I do like the fact Demise throws out the shock to give as much leeway as possible, but ultimately, I think he's going to die in this spot. But keeping that hill contested, not allowing PK to get as many points as they possibly could, is absolutely massive. Fresh M-bars up, and INZEM might win it for the 2nd time. Takes down Monkyz. Dezo around the corner, and even though INZEM loses his life, all is not lost. The M-bar still picked up from Solurs, so I believe that's 2 for 2 or 3 for 3 for Hive.
That's a good trade coming out too, right? Good job by Solurs being there for his teammate when he does die. That is going to net them the fresh weapon. You're going to see the grenades now in the hands of the Knights as well. So both teams have something to use on this upcoming fight. That hill should be coming up any moment now. You're going to see Sumuns kind of underneath. Solurs not able to connect with that M-bar, but he should have another shot on this player. Sumuns going to continue to dodge it. Still playing it kind of slow, but he will strike with those nades. So now numbers advantage in favor of PK. They have the hill as well, and they keep using those nades to push players back. INZEM gets the first down, but he's not able to connect. Great plays coming through from the Knights. This should get them the hill.
It should, but PK needed that mid-fight, and they get it, and that was a big hold for, or it should have been a big hold for Hive, but as you can see with the team, will hold up a second. Does Demise do this? He gets the team pickup. Monkyz is up in a 1v2. Monkyz looking to clutch, picks up the meat shield just in time. Meat shield's gone. Solurs picks up the final, and man, I give credit over towards Demise, staying alive, and Solurs instantly picking off the head of Raver. 1v2, but again, the more Hive stays in this hill, whether they're getting points or not, they're denying points from PK, and PK continues to suffer a massive deficit as Hive is doing such a phenomenal job refreshing their teammates, getting back into the fight, but when they're there, they're making the most of it. I'm really impressed with the Hive boys.
Yeah, Hive's done a great job of just sort of mitigating the amount of points that PK are able to get on this hill. Ezo look for this pinch. He's got to take out Solurs. That should buy PK, I would say, another at least 15 seconds of time, depending on how early they rotate. You're going to see the members of Hive already beginning to make that rotation. You're going to see Demise now with that fresh shock grenade. And shock grenade, obviously, as you know, Taylor, in control, very, very effective, right? We even saw just in like a 1v4 situation, kind of what Demise could do with it earlier. So a very, very effective tool, especially as you're fighting for that next hill.
Yeah, I mean, especially on Regency too, with certain hills having, like this hill, a shock still valuable if you place it on the back, because you know there's going to be a player on that back statue. Throw your shock out there, force him out of position, you Lancer him down. On this hill specifically, you've got a couple of separate choke points, but more importantly, you throw down a shock on one of those stairs, you have to funnel through the other stair where the shock's not at, or just wait. Either way, it gives you plenty of time to reset up, and sometimes gives you those precious couple of seconds to get the reinforcements when your team dies off. You can tell PK, though, they're going to be trying to force into this hill from several different angles. Sumuns needs an elimination on INZEM or somebody, because at this point, it's going to be hard to kind of push those players back with how far they are currently, I believe, in their spawn, their original spawn in general. But either way, for Hive, they continue to gather points. PK tried to make an attempt to break the hill against Solurs and Demise, but it didn't work out for the best. So now PK kind of has to brute force their way in, and they're going to do so with all four members. But there's that shock you were talking about, Ryan.
Yeah, it's going to cause a lot of issues. They're going to have to get a lot of good chain revives. Sumuns is going to be down and taken out. Solurs continues to clean them up. And just look at the teamwork coming out from Hive. This is the Hive roster that we expect to see, right? You got guys firing on all cylinders. There's that teamwork and chemistry. They're inching closer and closer to that 200-point mark. Demise is going to once again get control of that shock grenade. So I would definitely say across the board, Hive doing a much better job securing the weaponry and securing the utility across the map.
And that's something they did exceedingly well yesterday, and something PK needs to take note on. To be honest with you, PK has never really been a very strong Regency team. It's just a map that doesn't work well for them. And I've always alluded that to the fact that PK is a team that loves chaos. They love getting in your face, and you can do that from time to time, but it's more so about being smart, rotating around the map and setting up early. And I think Hive is doing that more efficiently. And as you mentioned, Ryan, they're prioritizing the power weapons, they're prioritizing the shock and the nades more often than not. And that's given a lot more advantage over towards Hive, and they didn't even really need more utility to work with because they're already so crispy with the team fights and the rotation. So PK, a lot lacking here, but to be honest, again, I did expect this. Pittsburgh Knights, map 1 for Regency. This map benefited Hive more so than it did PK, so it's working out exactly as I thought it would.
Now we're going to see PK start to make their push over to this new hill. Demise just kind of waiting for the chaos to ensue as he has that angle. Grenades now in the hands of the Knights. We'll see if they can use this to make their first break. The M-bar going to be at play as well. Dez is going to get the first 2 nades out. They are going to connect. That's going to be a 2-piece coming through. 4v2 situation. That should be plenty for the hill. And now they have the ability to hold the hill with that M-bar. Right? We know how strong the M-bar can be, especially when you get to defend with it.
Yeah, once they took out 2 members from Hive, the last 2 members who were there, because they were 4 strong at one point, but once those 2 members were wiped off the map from the frag, they couldn't push in. PK knew, all right, now we can push them. We got the man advantage. Let's finish them off while we can. Dezo finds INZEM trying to cross through mid off the rotation. We're now going back over towards Flowers, and this is where the first hill was at. And if you remember, Ryan, Hive took an early lead, so if it's anything like the first rotation, Hive might be able to close it out with these next 2 hills. So PK has to definitely fix the issues they had off the start. And it started with this big team fight. Hive seems as if they are going to win it once again, so history will repeat itself.
It just seems like Hive are playing a little closer in these Wolfpack fights, right? We talk about the fact that PK is such a good team in the chaotic situations, but I feel like every time we get in these battles, it's Hive is a step ahead, who's getting the revive first, right? Who's closer to their teammate, who's fighting together. PK, they can still do this plenty of time, obviously, but they got to get this hill soon, right? You don't want to let Hive get closer and closer to that sort of 250, 270 point mark.
Yeah, things are already scary as it is, being down 130 plus points, and Hive continues to gather a lead, and then Monkyz will connect on INZEM to at least back him up, but he's not down just yet. Dezo pushes in. That body shot would have been big. Dezo, though, makes the most of his life, taking down Demise, taking down Solurs. Sumuns follows it up by taking down TJ. INZEM left to crawl around. He's eventually going to be Lancer down and gone, and PK gets a critical break when they needed it most. Every point at this point in time, right, Ryan, is going to be absolutely imperative for them to get. 35 seconds remains, and Hive can be tricky here. They can push for these 30 seconds, get up to around the 270 mark if they want to, but it looks as if they're going to prioritize the rotation because they understand this next hill. If you don't have spawn control, it's so difficult to break, and with TJ also getting the fresh M-bar, it's going to make it that much more difficult for PK.
But now PK does have frag grenades, and they do have a shot grenade. I think Monkyz still has some ammo on that M-bar as well. So the Knights still have plenty to work with. This is going to be a very, very big fight. I think if PK is going to find their way back into this map, it has to be through this next hill. Both teams have quite a bit to work with. You're going to see them let that hill stay neutral. So we're going to have a little bit of time before we do see this next fight start to develop. You can see both teams pretty much just stocking up everything they can in order to be ready.
Be ready they must, because this hill, they can close it out if they are pretty much flawless. I don't like that, though. TJ falling early on. Someone's getting pressured back. No reason to chase that.
Look at the
no reason to chase that, Ryan. But as you said, the comeback, it is here now, and PK needs this map, number 1. I'm going to be honest with you. If Hive loses this with the lead they had and how well they were playing, it's going to hurt their mentality so much heading into Tomb Execution.
Yeah, still plenty of work to do, but that was a great cutback by Sumuns. They definitely did not expect that. PK does take the numbers, and again, they have quite a bit to work with. You're going to see Monkyz with 4 shots in that M-bar still. Does look like they still have a little bit of utility. I think Raver still has something to work with. So the Knights, they can milk quite a bit of time on this hill. That makes this game that much more interesting. Monkyz is going to connect on 1. He has a mark. Not sure he's going to waste the bullets just yet. TJ does make his way forward, and Monkyz is going to snap over the bush, hit that player. 2 dead now for the boys on Hive. Solurs begins to inch up closer and closer, but you know he's going to wait for his teammates off spawn. And the Knights are starting to roll, Taylor.
Right, you know this because you've been in Gears for the beginning of time, right? Whenever it comes to both of these rosters and the actual polarizing figures they have, Ryan, you know momentum is a very real thing. And once they start getting the ball rolling, it is hard to stop them. And for PK in the beginning when Hive was destroying them, PK was probably thinking to themselves like, man, this sucks. But now that they've got a couple of successful hills, they're going to be playing with a new vigor. They're going to be playing with some new energy, and it's going to be hard now for Hive to stop that ball from rolling once again. They're going to try and do it from this hill, but I don't know. I'm seeing a lot different from PK, different energy, and those shots are crispy. And now, I'm going to be honest with you. Honestly, I was in the favor of Hive, but after seeing PK off these last couple of hills, I'm getting really worried for Hive now.
Yeah, PK has definitely woken up, and you could even see just the aggression they showed, the teamwork, right? You saw, we talked about Hive was kind of out teamworking them before. You saw the Lancer and Pistol Fire on those 2 players down. They're looking a lot sharper in the second half of this map, and they can continue to milk this hill. This is going to be a tie game before we know it, and they still have a great setup.
Great setup indeed, and Monkyz has been connecting. Body shot or not, it doesn't matter. Hive has to take notice of that. Whoever gets body shot can't just freely push up. Sumuns, however, he's going to close the gap, and that was such a great push from Raver and Sumuns, Ryan. They push up simultaneously to isolate TJ in that cover. INZEM also fell, and PK is 100% going to close out this deficit and take the first lead we have seen them have in Regency.
They're only seconds away from a lead shifting, which sounds crazy when you look at the first half of this map, but Monkyz continuing to hit shots at that M-bar. Now they're the ones beginning to control the power weapons. He's going to grab that two-piece. The Pittsburgh Knights have taken the lead as we cross the 250-point mark. Hive continue to kind of fall one by one. That member down. Solurs in a bit of a tough spot. Raver hits the back A. Once again, a 4 versus 2 advantage. About to be now a 4 versus 1. You can see PK already set up on the next hill, and they're going to be set up towards the weapon as well.
This is where Hive can get really scrappy, but like you said, the next weapon's going to go over to Monkyz. He's already connecting. If I'm Hive, I am sweating at this point because Monkyz is literally connecting every single shot he throws out there. He will be challenged. Lancered from mid. Hive understands, look, mid is going to be our best angle. INZEM might get this M-bar. Sumuns needs to avoid this, but he's going into the lines. Then 1v2 takes down one. Can he get the second? He gets the trade. That's just as good. Monkyz is able to push in now, and if TJ doesn't stand his ground, he's going to be in some trouble. So I guess Monkyz is in even more trouble. He'll falter. PK, they're there for the refresh, but at this point, you got a couple of Hive members who are going to be spread thin, but INZEM picks up the frags, Demise picks up the M-bar. It's still very doable for both teams, but this hill is going to be very important.
Yeah, that was a huge sequence coming up for Hive. They win the fight on the hill. Now they have the nades, and now they have the M-bar. So now if you're PK, you've made a lot of great retakes this map to get to this point. You got to make one more. Hive, they have all the weaponry, all the just the setup. They have everything you need in this situation. Sumuns gets the first down around the cover, gets the first kill. Can he make it a second? No, he's going to fall. I believe Dezo does as well. So numbers still favoring Hive. TJ is going to fall. Trades back and forth, but once again, the trades appearing to favor the boys on Hive. And it looks like they will manage to grab some remaining time on this hill. It is actually just enough to win the game if they do manage to secure the final time on this hill. Of course, for the Knights, you just kind of break and neutral the hill for a little longer if you want to take this to a final rotation.
PK knows this. I like the fact that they are sending player 8 through mid to get that off angle, and then the rest of the boys from PK are going to push up. Plus, they're contesting. You mentioned, right, they just need to get in, get a break, stop Hive from getting up to the win condition, which they did do that. But now this next hill is going to be literally everything for this map. And at this point, Hive is already set up. So PK, they've got to focus hard, but the X factor is going to be Demise, Ryan. PK doesn't know he's back there. I'm sure they do now because the Lancer fire. You got the shock on the right stairs, and that very well could be the final fight unless Raver pulls off some heroics. He won't. Hive will win this map. And INZEM being on that flank, Ryan, or excuse me, Demise, was literally the X factor to secure that final couple of points for Hive.
That was a huge, huge flank, like you said. Definitely a map-winning play coming through there. Such a close map, man. Good job by PK making it close, but Hive, they just took such a big lead, right? They finally picked it up at the end there. That final fight on that M-bar hill was so good. They were able to get so much more time there. See eliminations across the board. Sumuns putting up 34. You can see, again, a lot of 20 pluses over on the side of Hive. A great map for both sides, but it is going to be Hive striking first.
Yep, Hive strikes first, and they needed to strike first. Again, when it comes to those first three maps that you were harping on, Tomb, Training Grounds being the next two, I favor Pittsburgh Knights specifically on those two very maps. So for Hive to secure map number one, it's big, and especially with the lead that they had, if PK would have turned and flipped that script and took over map number one after Hive had played so very well off the initial and the mid game and even towards the later games, it would have been a big L for them, and quite honestly could have derailed their entire mentality because Hive is very much so a momentum-based team. But now they take the victory. They have a good mindset. They're heading into Tomb, which they did struggle on yesterday, but it still is a good start nonetheless. I love that flank from Monkyz, though. There was a lot of great plays, key plays for Pittsburgh Knights and Hive that kept either roster in the game.
No, certainly was, man. It was definitely the tale of two halves, I would say, right? You had Hive come out to a huge lead, then you see Pittsburgh Knights rolling. They start to grab a few hills, kind of back to back to back, but in the end, it really did come down to this final fight, this final hill, and it was Hive, right? Who did win the big fight. That gave him control of the weapon, that gave him control of the nades, and they did a great job, obviously, holding that in the hill time, and then also beating the rotation to the next hill as well.
Yeah, beating the rotations was big because PK was getting out-rotated off the start. But then we seen PK wake up, Monkyz hits his M-bar shot, Sumuns popping off as he just did on your screen. And PK then started prioritizing rotations and also spawn control too. That shot for Monkyz was just disgusting on Demise. That another one. If I keep calling him out, all I'm going to be doing is talking about the replays because Monkyz was just going off. But again, such a big win for the boys on Hive. You mentioned across the board, though. Hive 27, 27, 22, 25 when it came to eliminations. A ton of downs from them. And that's kind of apparent to me in terms of the scoreline, especially off the start. Plus, you mentioned, and wisely so, Ryan, Hive, in those team fights, their fights were a little bit tighter, weren't they? They were kind of staying together a little bit more, so they were able to get the trade more often than Pittsburgh Knights. And that helped them through and through, whether it be even that sluggish portion of the map. Those just staying together, you can't discredit that. That's huge.
No, it certainly was. Like I said, those are going to be the plays that come down to sort of those final hills that are going to be the ones that close out maps. Again, a fantastic map coming through from Hive. Of course, we have a best of 5 series now. We got a longer series now. So winning that map one, while important, obviously is not everything. Now we get to head into execution on Tomb. Of course, we know both of these teams have so much skill on both ends, so it makes those individual fights that much more fun to watch, especially in a single life mode. So I'm excited to get some good casting action on some execution because it's been a while.
It has been a while. Actually, you casted control for the. I know you casted execution because we did it for Edicts.
Emergence days, yeah, I did emergence.
Yeah, I think you did. Maybe you did, but either way, it's going to be fun to have you cast it once again, and it's going to be great because now it's on Tomb, right? We know it's a great map, at least added into the rotation. It stayed in a rotation, so clearly the teams do like the way it plays out, even though it's not as popular as it was in the beginning of Phase 1. It was played pretty much consistently, and then it kind of died out more towards the end. But maybe we're seeing a resurgence because in the past couple of weeks, we've seen Tomb quite a bit. And Hive, like I said, did play yesterday against Elevate. They played on Tomb. That was map number 2. They lost 6-3. And one of the things that was hurting them, in my opinion, was TJ wasn't as aggressive on the torque boat as he should have been. And quite honestly, he was alone most of the time as Hive was prioritizing the middle portion of the map, which nothing wrong with that. But if you're allowing TJ to be in a consistent 1v2, you're losing TJ off the rip. It's not going to set you up for success. So I would love to see adjustment from Hive and at least send 2 players over to help TJ fight for the torque bow, secure that, and not get overwhelmed, because losing that torque bow and also losing that side of the map in general, which you can be flanked on, really opens up the door for anything. It makes your life a living hell. So for Hive, hopefully they learned from their L against Elevate yesterday.
Yeah, certainly. One of the fun things about execution in general is sort of the amount of adjustments you can kind of make on the fly, the amount of adjustments you can make round by round, map by map, whatever it may be, right? There's so many different tweaks you can do, and whether it's changing a player, whether it's putting in, a different player in the lane, whether it's how you have that one player play the position, right? You mentioned TJ in that situation getting 1v2. Okay, maybe next time TJ should play back a little more, and if he's dying in the 2v1, right? Give your other teammates time on the other side. There's a 2v1 over here, there should be a 3v2 over here, whatever it may be, right? There's always
Right.
the way it works in a single life. There's always one space. If there's extra coverage here, there's got to be less there. So that's what I like about execution, is watching these teams kind of make those adaptations, sort of watching them adjust things on the fly and seeing kind of how they just change things week to week.
I'm curious the impact Monkyz is going to have. Obviously, he plays a big impact. We saw his M-bar shots, but despite his spectacular second half of Regency control, that first half was rough for him. And in fact, that's represented by his low elimination count, which, low to his standards, he only picked up 17 kills total. Meanwhile, Sumuns was the unsung hero at 34 total kills in general. Monkyz was at the lowest. He was the only player on Pittsburgh Knights not to break 20 eliminations. So he needs to step it up depending on where he's going to be playing for his team on Tomb. I can't remember where it's going to be, but let's say he's going to be opposite of that of TJ. TJ pops off. He knows how to play this lane, even though he was struggling against Elevate yesterday. Again, that's because he was mostly by himself. But if I am fully confident if he gets joined by one of his other Hive members, Monkyz, he might get outgunned here. Monkyz is instrumental to PK's success. And if he is sluggish and he's not popping off and getting kills, especially in execution, PK is going to struggle.
No, certainly. I mean, despite how just skilled, across the board PK is, Monkyz kind of has been one of the centerpieces in the slaying department for them. So if he is struggling, obviously you do see a player like in control. Obviously, Sumuns did pick it up and then some, right? Dropping the most eliminations in the lobby. But, kind of on the whole, right, if you're PK, you do need Monkyz to sort of always be performing at that high level, especially, in 4v4, right? When every player is that much more important. Right. So, it's not often the guy has bad maps. So I don't think it's going to be something we should expect to see much going forward from Monkyz. But it'd be fun to see kind of, what he has in store for us on map 2, what this team in general has in store. Like I said, I do think that it's pretty important for PK if they're going to take this series to win one of those first 2 maps. So you can kind of head into that escalation control with an opportunity, or escalation on training grounds to kind of take control of the series.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how this series unfolds, because for me, it would be a big win for Hive. For Pittsburgh Knights, in my opinion, this is an expected win with how Hive has been inconsistent as of recently. So if PK loses to FNI 3-0 yesterday, which that obviously already happened, and then they come through today and they lose against Hive, you have to start asking the questions of, is PK really back? Did they just have a flash in the pan performance from week 1? And that's pretty much all they're going to have. I don't know. It's really going to be up to Pittsburgh Knights to kind of determine that. But I guess it's too early to tell. As you said, it's going to be a longer series. Best of 5. Map 1 is done with. And it really wasn't a bad performance from PK. Despite their sluggish start, they still kept it competitive and brought it to 300 to 271. So PK played just as well. But for Hive, this would be a massive win for them to take, despite, especially with their first 2 L's that they took in week 1.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's fair necessarily to say that this is like an expected win, especially when you have a team like Hive who are all championship caliber players at this point, right? So I do think this is going to be a tough matchup for any team on any week. So I mean, to me, like I did obviously, predict whatever we want to call it with PK as well, but I do think that, like I said, Hive is a team that can and does beat any team on any given week. Like I said, I think they do have a bit of a consistency issue sort of as a whole, but I mean, pound for pound, these are some of the best players in the world. So, this match, whatever being so close to kick off is no surprise to me.
All right, well, let's see how this is going to turn out. Again, Tomb is one that Hive lost yesterday. We'll see if they do adjust. That's what makes you a championship caliber team, right? You take an L, and then you come back even stronger against a different team in a different day. And it is a different day, after all. Hive yesterday may have had a close series. Today, who knows? They could close it out 3-0. And same thing for PK. They lose 3-0 to F9. They might turn things around and win this series against Hive. It's just, it really just depends with Gears Pros in general, right? But battle is going to be Sumuns and Solurs opposite of each other, playing for the long shot, and TJ will win his fight against Monkyz. Again, Monkyz so instrumental to the success of Pittsburgh Knights. He takes an early L. Demise takes down Dezo, and it looks like Hive is about to walk away with this one. It's a 3v2. TJ, he's got the torque bow, and Raver is going to have that sniper, so he's going to be the guy you really have to pay attention to. But Sumuns as well, he had a great control Regency, but it's a 3v2. We've now reached a bit of a stalemate scenario, and every team is going to be looking for a little bit of a pick.
Yeah, each team also has that power weapon, right? So you're going to see them play, obviously, a little bit slower, looking to get that pick. Raver just waiting for someone to pop out their head with that snipe. Of course, the torque bow in the hands of TJ, so this round could very well come down to that sort of final ring. Sumuns has the nades as well, so despite, obviously PK being at a 2 versus 3 disadvantage, they do have a couple very powerful items to work with.
I guess the overtime hill is going to be up top. You'd have to assume with the way that Raver as well as Hive is kind of rotated up. Again, this isn't a guarantee round for Hive. Player 5 is going to rotate back. That's going to be TJ just, I guess, trying to get an off angle from that top side. Maybe even keep Sumuns in check, but overtime will be starting up relatively soon. If Raver can get a headshot, whether it be on INZEM or Demise, this is going to be very doable from PK to sneak this round away for themselves, but he pushes way up into a 1v2. Don't necessarily agree with that, but he baits out the frag, throws it out there. INZEM could be in trouble. Raver will fall. The nade didn't connect, and Sumuns is by himself.
I like the idea there. I mean, he tried to throw the utility out there to sort of separate the two players. That's kind of how you want to play those 2v1 situations, right? You want to find anything you can to separate a player. Unfortunately, the wrap shot just didn't connect, so well played coming through from Hive. With that 2v1, they do close the round out. And you mentioned sort of last time you watched this Hive team play Execution, TJ in his fight, right? You saw him getting that first blood, kicking off the action for this Hive team.
Yeah, and he needed to do that against Elevate. Now that he does that in round 1 against Monkyz, gives me great faith that Hive is going to be able to step it up. But if memory serves correct, Hive did start off Tomb against Elevate very strong with 2 quick rounds, only to lose, I think, 5 or 6 in a row, if I'm not mistaken, because it was, no, they didn't, not in a row, but it was a pretty big lead that Elevate accumulated very early. I like this cutback from INZEM, though. Quickly securing mid-control. Raver now opposite of INZEM. Dezo picks up Demise. It's going to be a 3v2. Hive, they're going to be at a deficit. TJ now by himself, and he's got to try to force the issue on the Monkyz, and believe it or not, he gets it. Now he's in a 1v2.
Yeah, push out Raver. This is kind of what you want in these situations. Sometimes they do have the players kind of separated, but You're going to see PK starting to get those angles. TJ is going to run forward into that Lancer. So there was a bit of an opportunity there, but good teamwork coming out from the Pittsburgh Knights. It's going to very quickly deadlock us here at 1-1.
Tied up 1-1. Nice job. I love the cut, like I said, through mid for INZEM, but ultimately he ends up getting angled out. PK was a bit too wise for that play. Ended up lancering him down and ultimately leaving TJ by himself. But like you said, it was really the best case scenario for TJ. I are able to at least try and isolate both members from PK after he took out the third. So good on him for trying to do that. We'll now focus on Monkyz opposite of TJ. TJ won the fight before. Monkyz didn't, I don't think, attempt to take him down in the last round, but this is what I was talking about yesterday, Ryan. TJ is by himself now in a 1v2. He backs up. Demise will join into the mix, but TJ falls, and Dezo is not going to let them live. He knows that was a big mistake. You got to capitalize, and that's what Dezo and Monkyz do.
That was a great job just continuing to pursue, right? They got that first down, and they just did not take the foot off the gas. Now they get to just very easily cross out those final players, and they are going to take the round. That's sometimes how execution works, right? If you win one side of the map, if you're on the other side of the map, all you really got to do is stay alive, wait for your reinforcements to come through. Very, very well played from the Pittsburgh Knights.
Very well played indeed. Again, capitalizing on those mistakes from the team. Again, TJ by himself. You do have Demise, who's off, just on a bit of the outside. But once TJ pushes for that torque bow and he's in a 1v2, Demise can't get there in time. It's just the way it is. And even though TJ tries to run away, he gets Lancer down. And now Demise is put in a compromising situation. And that's something, again, that was hurting them yesterday. Solurs will get the quick pick on the snipe, but can he get away? That's the question. Raver is there waiting for him. The Lancer fires. Oh, he only pulls out the Nasher, and Solurs will get away. TJ on the opposite end will get the torque bow, but Hive did suffer an early loss, and TJ gets chunked, and now it's a 3v2.
You can see power weapon in the hands of Monkyz, not able to connect. Solurs with the snipe as well. You know, look for that one shot. He does hit the headshot. That's going to now make this a 2v2. Great shot coming through from Solurs. There's going to be a player hopping right over. Tries to get the highlight play. Not going to connect. Just trying to get his health back and stay alive. You can see Demise going down. Solurs is going to get the revive. He gets the shot up. It's not going to connect on the head. Now we are at a 2v1 situation with the snipe in the hands of Solurs. This is what you want if you are a fan of Hive.
This is definitely what you want. I mean, if Solurs hits one more, brings it to a 2v1, best case scenario. You love to see it, especially if you're a Hive fan. I believe this is going to go down to the overtime hill, you have to assume, and I think it's going to be where the long shot spawns up. Solurs trying to get that off angle, and he gets it. Body shot onto Sumuns. Does he push this? Yes, he does, but he's being kept in check. Raver gets the damage. Summun picks up the Elim. Demise by himself. If he can get Raver quickly, maybe it's possible, but ultimately not the case. And Raver getting the cross for Sumuns was everything, because once that body shot was hit, Ryan, he was pushing. He knew he had the advantage. He just needed just a couple more pellets to get that down and maybe even the finish, but that cross did him in, and Sumuns hits a beautiful shot. Well done. Good communication from PK. They now take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, if that up A hits by Solurs, right, that makes that fight completely different. So you got to hit those, especially in that situation when you got one life. PK, though, they are going to start to pull away 3-1 as we kind of hit the halfway point of this execution map. You're going to see, once again, Monkyz, TJ out here fighting for this power weapon. Monkyz is going to start to get aggressive, but there is help coming through on the side of Hive. Big fight now coming through as both teams have found their reinforcements. Players being dropped on both ends. Revives come through on each side. Now it's connected down to who hits their shots first. It looks like PK is going to get the better end of that engagement. Solurs in the meantime fighting this 2v1. It's a lot of nice shots. Not able to connect on the chunks there. That was a full spread so close. In the end, though, he does end up falling. That's now 4 in a row for the Knights.
Ryan, how frustrating is that from your perspective, especially if you're a player that you're hitting these full spreads, you're getting downs, but there's just constant team revives right in front of you. It's like you get so close to taking them down, but yet so far away.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing this Gears game for quite some time now, so I can tell you across the entire franchise, right? Nothing gets more frustrating than when you think you should chunk something and you don't.
Well, I guess that was the case in that moment for PK, though. They're happy with it. They take the 4-1 lead. TJ forced to back off. He doesn't even really challenge that. Again, TJ is by himself, Ryan. I'm going to keep harping on that. In my opinion, especially with the meta on Tomb now, you need to send 2 players down to fight for torque bow, because at minimum, any team is going to be sending 2 over there. Despite that, Dezo goes for a push. I'm maybe thinking Monkyz was going to get splash damage earlier, but he doesn't.
Yeah, a bit of a miscommunication there because you can see them both kind of looking at different sides of the map there. A little bit surprising. Now Hive, though, do find themselves in a 4 versus 3. Of course, Torquebo in the hands of Monkyz, so the Pittsburgh Knights could definitely even these numbers back out with just one easy shot. You're going to see Hive definitely play it slow. Knights, they are going to grab the nades as well. Looks like Snipe has not been picked up yet either, so a lot of the utility sitting in the hands of the Knights still at a man disadvantage.
Sumuns and Raver looking as maybe they want to push this nice nade. He's not going to connect with anybody, but we'll back up Hive for the meantime. Monkyz with the Torquebo cross map. You can check him, definitely see him checking his angle. I'm curious if he fully knows INZEM is there. I assume Raver and co have called out the numbers, but player 5 has kind of been tucked away. That's TJ, and he hasn't really shown himself. There he goes. He does show himself here. So I'm assuming Monkyz has to know someone's going to be floating around, and he will turn. Shots are going to be fired. So Monkyz is going to keep that guy in check. Meanwhile, up top, Hive does have the man advantage for this top fight. So this isn't going to be an easy push at all, or an easy hold, I should say, from PK. But I guess it's dependent on what Monkyz can do in this moment. And does anybody still have a nade? Yeah, Raver does. Raver has a nade, and he's holding on to it.
Not going to connect, but now you're going to see someone's get it down as well. Hive forced to go for the revive. The players are going to drop on each end. They're going to fall in the circle, but they are going to get the full cap despite being down. You're going to see them play for the objective, and it does pay off. So you can see some of that kind of early utility being a play. You see the power weapon, right? It's your Hive, despite having the man advantage, it's kind of hard to push through some of those things.
Yeah, it really is. And holding on to that nade, holding on to the shock was critical. You have to assume Hive threw the shock on the hill, but hey, you cap the overtime hill even if you're down. So PK takes one for the team. They get the W, and they put themselves a map point to tie up this series 1-1. Imagine if Hive didn't win Regency, Hive would be in trouble heading into Training Grounds Escalation, but that's history. We will have a good old-fashioned 1v1 between Monkyz and TJ. And if you remember correctly, Ryan, at the beginning, at the start, when Hive won their first round, round number 1, it was TJ who got the best of Monkyz in this spot, and Monkyz was playing best when he had some teammates to assist him for the Torquebo fight. And speak of the devil, TJ takes down Monkyz. Dezo will answer back, take down Demise. INZEM is also going to be finished off. TJ will get that Torquebo, of course, and he's going to rev it up to maybe take down, I don't know, anybody, but TJ's by himself. And he's got the Torquebo, but is it going to be enough? I don't know. It's a 1v2, and he connects on a Raver.
It was a 1v3. Now he finds himself in a 1v2. Still 3 Torquebos to his name, and it just made things a little more interesting. Of course, actually, that was a snipe as well. So if you're PK, they don't have the snipe either. TJ does have an angle. I don't know if he knows he's there. The snipe is going to be picked up. TJ can definitely do this. He still has 2 Torquebos. He still has some grenades. This is a very winnable 2v1.
The only thing is that where Dezo is at, Ryan, is where the overtime hill is going to be. So PK, yeah, they're going to go for the... You already know Dezo's going to stay where he's at. I like this play from TJ, though, taking the top side. I believe that's his best play, to be honest with you. If he can get an angle on Dezo and bring it to a 1v, he will have the upper hand because, let's think about it. He has the nades. He's got the Torquebo. Sumuns does have the shock, but I would take the nades and the torque over the shock from Sumuns. First nade's thrown out. Dezo goes to avoid, but TJ wanted to bait that shot. He doesn't get it.
Yeah, there's only so much he has, right? So he only has a certain amount of nades, certain amount of bows, so he has to get close to the fight. Otherwise, they can just kind of bait him out, let him use what he has, and then cap that hill. You're going to see TJ start to get closer and closer, and use what he has to try to just keep him off the hill, at least for a little while.
There's a nade.
First Torquebo comes out. You can see him get aggressive. Waiting for someone to just poke their head out. The first one doesn't connect. Oh, but he pulls the Torquebo out, and you're going to see the player realize that hit him right with the shotgun. Very well played coming through from the Pittsburgh Knights as they do take map number 2 with a scoreline of 6-1. I like the idea from TJ there, I really do, but you can see the Knights, the second they realized that his back was turned, instantly hit him, and even if Torquebo had come off, he's going to get chunked either way.
Well, we're all tied up, Ryan, 1-1. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll break down execution, and we'll talk about Training Grounds Escalation, where one team will once again take the lead. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Gears Pro League Split 3 Phase 2 Day 5. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Ryan Full Summers. Pittsburgh Knights isolate TJ, take him down, but they did a little bit more than that. They did a great job. They lost round 1, but after that, easy sailing. They win the next 6 to take the victory on Tomb, 6-1, and tie it up 1-1 in the series.
Yeah, definitely a big map win now as they get to head into that game number 3 on Escalation Training Grounds, a map that we know they are very, very strong on. So in the pre-show. I'd love to see them grab one of those two maps. If they are going to win this series, they do grab map 2. So this is an opportunity for them to start to take control of this best of 5.
They're definitely going to have to. Training Grounds Escalation, not going to be easy at all for Hive. Yesterday, I think they played on TG. I'll just take a quick check, and no, they didn't. They played on Vaskar. They won that 5-2, but Vaskar's not TG. It's going to be a different map. Hive knows it, but PK, in my opinion, has to be the favorite on that one, and this is going to be one that's going to be, it's going to set you up for success because PK isn't a bad district control team, Ryan, but neither is Hive. So this series, still up in the air, but the glaring issue that I currently have, if PK wins TG Escalation, we are all but in way guaranteed map number 5 because Hive, I think district control should work their way, but check out execution. I favor PK on that one. So in my opinion, Hive, they need to take the next 2, and it starts with TG Escalation. How do you think they're going to do? I mean, really, when it comes to Hive historically on Training Grounds, what makes them a team that might be a bit threatening to PK?
I mean, I just think, well, to start off, their roster is threatening, right? You have one of the most mechanically skilled players in the game in INZEM. You have Solurs, a player who will, despite being one of the winningest players of all time, will still never quite get the proper shine he deserves for just how good he is, especially at Gears 5. And then, of course, TJ and Demise, incredibly skilled players as well. So it's a very just difficult team to fight, especially on kind of the U side of the map, right? When you're in those kind of close quarters, getting those kind of shots over cover, they really excel in those scenarios. So they are a very, very tough team to fight in those team fights. Of course, both of these teams have played quite a bit of Escalation, of course, because of the fact that the program was on Escalation for so long. So I think this is a very, very fun map. Again, we do give the nod, I would say, to PK in terms of who we'd have to favor on Training Grounds in particular, but this Hive team is also a very strong team. And a lot of these guys always have been. You look back to INZEM on Rise, right? All these past guys have always been very good on this map as well. So I do think by no means this will be a map that they run over. I think it'll be a very close map, but I'm kind of with you in general. I do think this series kind of has a game 5 written all over it to me.
I think it does, and we'll see if that's going to be the case. I think it's important for Hive to win this map. It's going to be a tough one, but if they do win, there's a good chance they can win district control. There really is, and they can close this series out 4-1, but it's or 3-1, excuse me, but it's up to this map specifically. Now, there are some things to take note of from the series yesterday when PK played against Fire and Ice, and one of those things was the Training Grounds map. Clearly, we're heading into it. PK was doing a phenomenal job fighting Overlook fight against FNI. Now, if they can beat FNI's initials, they can beat any team's initials, in my opinion. One of the things, though, FNI did to make PK uncomfortable was place a long shot in Hell, just below Overlook. That switched up things, but not as much as PK shooting themselves in the foot by placing an M-bar on Overlook themselves. By doing so, they kind of split up the fight. FNI, they never even went for the Overlook fight from that point. They focused on the long shot. They focused on the OEs. They were happy taking home hill to home hill. And PK was happy taking the M-bar and taking the neutral. But the problem is FNI's setup was almost unbreakable, and that's what did PK in the end. PK, in my opinion, is very comfortable on Training Grounds when they have the headbutt fight. You take that headbutt fight away, they are now uncomfortable and out of their element. So Hive can take note of that. If they can split up the fight, maybe with 2 power weapons like FNI did, I think Hive could have a very real chance here to throw off PK and potentially take this map.
They certainly can, and yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be wonky placements at times, like you said, like a snipe being placed down low, but I don't expect to see that in this matchup. I mean, we definitely could, but I think you're going to definitely see much more of a traditional escalation, and in traditional escalation form, they're going to go ahead and shoot each other in spawn, and I am going to be taken back to the menu. So
there you go.
Thanks for welcoming me back in traditional fashion, boys.
Yeah, this is how it is sometimes.
Getting time torched.
You know, it's just the way it is, Ryan, you know, and that's escalation fashion, as you said. You know, sometimes it just be that way. And I guess in this case, that's just the way it's going to be, you know. But I agree with you, Ryan. I don't think we are going to see Hive place anything wonky. Fire and Ice does that. FNI can be a weird team sometimes. You know, they're a very unique team, but hey, who knows? That's why they're one of the most dominant teams, because they are a weird team and they play in an unorthodox fashion that is all grit, you know, and all brawn, right? So they do use their brains. They're a smart team, but a lot of it's just, I want to get in your face. I want to take you down, slay you out. I want to win the round in 30 seconds, right? That's kind of how they play. But I was taken aback by their ability to kind of split up the map and in a way beat Pittsburgh Knights, make them uncomfortable. But I agree with you. I don't think Hive is going to do that. Hive, they're a traditional team that likes the traditional fights. TJ, he's very comfortable in the Overlook fight. Expect to see shocks, and that's what we're going to see. Shocks and incense, your typical stuff. Maybe a power weapon if PK takes an early lead. But even then, I mean, that's going to be pretty standard, right? Nothing out of the ordinary. But Ryan, hey, no torch in the time here, it seems. We're ready to go.
Yeah, no, we certainly are. Looks like the players are indeed going to actually fight each other this time. And so TJ is going to get that first down on the Sumuns. You're going to see that fight start to play out. You're going to see that Overlook taken over by the Knights, but it looks like the first blood will be in favor of Hive. It's going to put these players in a tough spot up top. TJ is going to just kind of slow play this, taking the low health. That will be a lot of trades back and forth, actually. Both sides of the map still underway, and looks like Hive will get the first 3 kills. That is going to put Solurs right over onto the C Hill, and they're going to start to threaten for a trip cap.
Trip cap definitely coming in. This would be a early hit to PK, and they're going to be successful in doing so. You mentioned all those trades off the rip. Well, Hive obviously gets the better end of the bargain, and that is an impressive win. 48 seconds, and who knows, maybe there is a chance they win this map. And if they do, again, this could be wrapped up 3-1. Not a single elimination on the side of Pittsburgh Knights for round 1.
Yeah, you're going to see that Boltok get placed onto the sides. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of the same coming through from the Knights as well. That good old mirroring strat here on Escalation. See how this initial is going to change next time around. We'll see if maybe Knights make any kind of adjustment, right, to where they potentially send some players. You saw that first blood was in the hands of Hive this time. It's always kind of, whether it's, you know, execution, escalation, anytime there's kind of that initial fight, right, you look to see where these teams make their adjustments round to round.
INZEM leading the charge. He'll join TJ up top. Demise is going to have the cross on the other side. I believe 7 Sumuns. No, Sumuns doesn't have the cross, but either way, PK's okay with it. Dezo will be traded out, even though he takes down INZEM. It's going to give confidence for TJ to push up, but will Monkyz be able to win his fight? There's a lot of moving pieces, just like in round number 1, but it seems Hive is slowly, or I should say quickly, pushing PK back. Now the question is, does TJ and Solurs chase these elims or go for the OE and give up Overlook? Both are possibilities, but if I'm them, I'm backing up because you got another player off the respawn. That was player 5, and Solurs does back up. TJ is by himself, Solurs is by himself, and that Lancer Fire is going to be big. I think PK might be able to win Overlook after this.
Yeah, you saw TJ doing a great job kind of pursuing that player, but just kind of took too long to get the kills, and now you're going to see PK off the spawn, starting to take the numbers on this side of the map and begin to take some more control.
Ooh, nice shot. Monkyz taking out TJ. Still Hive with the 2-1. A little bit of a narrow lead. PK is kind of jumbled up in Overlook. They won that fight, but yet they don't push forward. I guess they can't. Now INZEM should be making this call out. Player 2 is going to rotate over, and you have player 3 Solurs, who is also getting the cross. Very well done from him. Dezo, Raver, Sumuns will fall. I mean, Hive is impressing me, Ryan. They're playing very well as a team, much like they did on Regency Control during the first half.
Yeah, they certainly are playing very, very well together. Obviously, this team has quite a bit of chemistry from playing together for quite some time now. And then, of course, Demise does come join this team, a guy who's played with TJ for a very long time as well. So definitely always expect for this team to have a good amount of teamwork. They are going to start to take control as we get closer and closer to that 200-point mark. You're going to see PK starting to make a push over towards the Overlook side. You're going to see Hive begin to back out. They have that lead, right? They don't need to give up anything just yet.
Super curious how PK turns this round, Ryan. You can tell what their game plan is. My only worry where it's going to kind of fall apart maybe is player 5 was by himself. 6 does rotate over. PK has enough time to maybe tackle, get the decap on B, and they're going to need it very quickly because Hive wins in just mere seconds. Now that's going to give them at least an additional 10 seconds. They have to head down through Demise. That's going to be a good stun. We'll fully back him off. But with player 7 dropping and Hive still 4 strong, well now 3 strong, I don't know if this is going to be possible, but we'll definitely find out. And no, it's not going to be, as 3 members from PK do drop off, and Hive will take a second round once again. First one 48 seconds, very quick. This one obviously a bit longer, but 2 different looks, and Hive successful in both.
Yeah, we probably hit him with a caster curse, right? We spent the first pre-show talking about how Pittsburgh Knights are on Escalation on training grounds, and Hive is just really has complete control of the map, almost from start to finish.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. You know, we did that yesterday, me and Colin, when we were doing PK versus FNI. We were hyping them up, and then FNI destroys them 3-0. Like, it's just, at this point, like I always say, I don't know anything about Gears. Like, I just talk. You know, I don't know how these matches are going to take place despite our predictions. It is what it is. We're getting one hell of a matchup, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. I mean, again, for Hive, they need this win. This is going to be an important one for them. Raver's going to place the M-bar, but I don't know if that helps them. It is definitely going to focus the fight. PK is a great team, as I said before we hopped into this map. They're the strongest when they have that headbutt fight, but I don't know. Hive has been consistently winning Overlook fight in the last 2 rounds, so maybe this is a free M-bar going over towards Hive. PK, it's imperative they win this fight now.
You know what it does, though? It does shift the fight over, right? To obviously a little much away from the Overlook, much more towards this U where they probably feel more comfortable. You're going to see Sumuns now on the flank. INZEM going to be taking down the low health, but he is going to be able to get one of these kills on the way out. Sumuns still ends up falling, and Hive are still going to win the initial. You saw the fight tweak just a little bit, but Hive were still ready. They do take control now of the power-up, and that's going to be in the hands of Solurs, who's very, very good with the M-bar. Now they're in prime position now to take at least both of the home hills.
All right, well done. Hive overextends. They do, in fact, get both home hills, as you said. Solurs winning that M-bar is going to be critical now as PK is kind of pinned up, wanting to go for B. Still, though, you have to get through player 2 and player 4, and I guess Solurs as well as he connects from across map. Well done. That's going to drop at least 1 player. PK needed all players, and now they're going to be forced to kind of hop in at this point. Demise might be able to pick up some nice eliminations, gets the mark onto Raver, but Raver gets the best of him. Now it's going to be a 2v2. Gotta turn around! Demise, there's one on your flank, brother! And can he win this fight? Well, it's possible, but either way, Hive still has a good lead. Ryan, excuse me. Hive still has a great lead at this point, and they're still winning the fights.
Yeah, they're continuing to get the numbers. Just look at the team fire coming through on both ends. You see the comms are there as INZEM turns around. Raver's in a bit of a tough spot now, kind of on his back foot. You can see that's over 100-point lead already for Hive. They have players on PK kind of pinned on all ends. INZEM is going to win that fight. Hits a couple well-placed shots. Solurs wins the fight on the home hill. That's going to be 2 dead. The remaining members of the Knights kind of pinned over towards, looks like that B hill. And that's a tough spot.
Another domination looking to come through Hive. I mean, you got to give it to him. That constant pressure is unrelenting. PK constantly uncomfortable, forced to make moves like Monkyz just did, right, to kind of roll in and keep the round alive. Solurs will get the cleanup once again. He's 9-5. He's only died once. Let's take that into account, by the way. Hoodie Solurs is officially here.
Oh, no, hold on. Hoodie Solurs shows up at events, right? We're not taking that and moving it elsewhere. Hoodie Solurs shows up at the events. That's where the change of clothes comes out. That's where Hoodie comes out.
Now you tweeted Hoodie Solurs during Pro League 2. Don't
go look out. Go find it. Go find it for me.
I'm gonna find it.
It's always at events. He's always at events. He's always one of the best players in the world normally, but it's a different level at the events.
All right. Well, what has he got on? Beanie Solurs then? Let's fine. It's a lesser version of the Hoodie Solurs. He's got a beanie on. Maybe a hat. But either way, he's got something covering that dome.
I mean, whatever headwear you want to go with, that's up to you. But the Hoodie Solurs, that's an event. That's an event trademark.
All right. Well, you know what? I've never been corrected once. All right. So now I know. Now I know. It's the same thing with the El Clasico.
It's not often that I get on broadcast nowadays, all right?
Hey, well, you know what? Kenny had to let me know what El Clasico meant, what it really meant, okay? So now I know what Hoodie Solurs really meant. Hey, I like the education. I got to learn from the best of them, and you are one of the best of them. Hive, another great start, Ryan. They seem unstoppable, and I like the fact that they pumped the brakes again. They're going to allow PK to fight back, again, avoiding that headbutt fight outside of just the typical M-bar headbutt fight. I like the pacing Hive has. PK is not comfortable at all in the past 3 rounds. Make that 4 rounds. This is the 4th round, so they're still not comfortable.
Yeah, you can see just the way Hive is moving around the map, right? The level of confidence, the level of teamwork. They're just looking very, very sharp here on training grounds. You can see PK just seems a little more disjointed across the map, right? You're going to see player here kind of by himself. You see his teammate kind of lagging off behind him. It doesn't feel like they're necessarily quite as together as the boys on Hive are. Solurs does hit that nice M-bar shot on the Raver. That's going to be 2 dead now for the Knights, and Hive are continuing to cruise, Taylor. This map has just not been super competitive, to say the least.
That's the best way to put it. I mean, honestly, there's no other way to put it other than it hasn't been competitive. PK, I hate to say this, but looking lackluster like they were yesterday when they played against Fire and Ice. Now, I will say they do look better today than when they were playing yesterday against FNI. They won Tomb, which is great. They already won 1 map, but even on that Control Regency, they started getting the ball rolling. It looked like there was hope for them. But here on a map, Escalation Training Grounds, one that they should be at least doing very well on. Again, you mentioned Hive is a great team all around, right? They can bang with the best of them. They're not the dark horse, as people like to call them, okay? But I expected more of a fight for PK. Hive, they're definitely cruising. They're looking like they're going to, or they at least are set up and on pace to take a 4-0 lead. PK hasn't shown any life.
Yeah, not so far, which is, again, not what you'd expect from them on this map, in this game mode in particular, of course. Comebacks still happen plenty. There's still obviously an opportunity to bring this back, but it's just not looking like it's going to happen. Hive just continue to cruise through these rounds. I mean, you can see they're already set up with the 2-cap. You're going to see the players trying to kind of just bounce around the map. They kind of know what time it is, right? Because you can see the setup that Hive has. That shot grenade is going to come out. There's just not a lot the Knights can do, but wait for this round to end pretty much and see if they can kind of start the comeback on the next one, because at this point, they really do have to be pretty much perfect from here on out, because that's what Hive's been so far.
They really have been. They really have been, which is impressive given the fact that, you know, yesterday they played Vascar, they win that 5-2, and if they can, you know, and that was against Elevate, but if they can play Training Grounds and beat Pittsburgh Knights here, could be another map they add to their wheelhouse. After all, Hive, they're no slouches when it comes to escalation at all. But to beat PK, one of the best on T, well, I guess I can't even really say that anymore, because they lost TG to Fire and Ice 5-2, and they're looking like they might lose this 5-0. So maybe that narrative is a bit too old. It's outdated. PK might not be the best on TG anymore by any means.
Possible. And look at the scoreboard, man. Solurs has a single death, INZEM has a single death, and the other players have 2 and 4. I mean, when I tell you that they've been playing pretty much perfect this map, I mean, that tells the story right there. They're just winning fights over and over. They're holding their positions well, and they've just been playing very well on this map.
Well, something also to take note of, collectively, PK has 8 eliminations total across the board. Across the board. Solurs, he has, TJ, for goodness sakes, has 8 himself. TJ alone has more eliminations than PK combined as a 4-man team. This is looking like it might be a domination. Monkyz, you got to get up there, meat shield in hand, but they should be. I mean, surely they win this 1v2. Like, I don't see them not winning. That Monkyz, does he get, or excuse me, does Solurs get away? He does get away, and he takes down Monkyz. Solurs across the map. Get the M-bar out of his hands, PK. What are you doing?
Told you, Solurs is a very, very good M-bar player, very good precision weapon player. He's just kind of picking them apart across the map. You're going to see PK pretty much just kind of suffocated over down to their home hill. These are utilities. Any rotation they make, this guy's going to be sitting there waiting. You're going to give him a wide open space, running a straight line. That's his bread and butter right there. So Hive will continue to just milk this 2-cap, continue to just build upon this lead. The body shot is going to connect, and you can see PK just in a really tough spot right now because of the setup that Hive has, right? They're hitting them from all angles, right? They're getting the initial damage in. They have the M-bar to finish the kills off, right? They have everything they want right now as they're already crossing the 150 mark.
PK, honestly, identical to last round, just on a different side where they're forced to mount this massive comeback. And I hate to say it, right? If they lose this team fight, it's over with. Like, wrap it up. Hive wins 5-0. This team fight needs to be won from PK. They can't afford to have a lackluster fight. They've just got to dominate it, push through, go for the overextension, and get the domination. But that cover fire, the defensive setup in general, you got Solurs laying down hell. You've got, obviously, the Lancer fire on the other side. They can't get anywhere. Monkyz is down. Sumuns is down. Raver is down. Wrap it up. PK is going to be down in the series 2-1 as Hive 5-0's PK on Training Grounds Escalation.
Yeah, certainly not the scoreline I expected. I expected it to be a close map to kind of go either way. But, man, Hive just completely ran them over here. A beautiful performance to take a 2-1 series lead now as we head into a map that we both thought they have a good kind of advantage on as well for district control. So Hive definitely looking much, much better tonight.
Definitely looking better. And you know what? Sometimes it takes one win in Pro League, close or not, it takes one win in Pro League against any team to kind of say, you know what? Let's get the ball rolling again. We lost to Rise. Okay, put that to the side. We lost to Oxygen. No worries. Fine. Fair enough. But we beat Elevate. If we could beat PK, then we could beat any other team in the league. And PK looked great off the start. But again, this is going to be a telling series for them. They lost 3-0 to FNI yesterday. If they lose 3-1 to Hive, I'm going to be honest with you, PK is not back. The PK we expect, Ryan, has not returned.
Yeah, I mean, of course, those are two very, very good teams, right? So by no means is that an easy stretch of matches. But yeah, I mean, definitely not grabbing either of those. Definitely something you'd probably expect if we are going to kind of, make the assumption that they're sort of rounding back into form the right way. Nonetheless, so if you're Hive, right, they did have a very close match last night with a lower ranked team that went down to the wire. It's just as easy to say that they also said, hey, we got to wake up as well, right? We're playing one of the best teams in the game. We cannot afford to go down that early because Hive have come out to a great start here in this series. Now they take a 2-1 lead as we head into that district control for map number 4, a map that I do think also kind of favors them.
I think it does. I think it does. And the reason why is apparent from Hive's teamwork. Now, you witnessed Hive's teamwork, during the headbutt fight on Overlook for the M-bar. They won it, I want to say every time, if I'm not mistaken. They won it every time. And then you also have Hive on Regency control. You take that early portion, you take out that little middle, I don't know, jumbled up mess where PK started to come back, but you take that away, and then you look at the beginning, you look at the finish. Hive's team fights were crisp. Team fights, teamwork is so critical on District. It's literally everything. You have to have good teamwork, and I think Hive in this series has better teamwork, and they're playing better as a unit. And on District, that's going to pay dividends. They've already won one control. They can definitely win the next control, but they need to win the next control because, look, I know we've been kind of missing the mark a little bit. Well, I said Hive would win Regency. I said Hive has, definitely struggled on Tomb. They lost that. I was definitely very much a miss on Training Grounds Escalation, which I expected to be close, but how could you not? But check out Execution. I am very confident to say PK is going to have a distinct advantage there, Ryan. So Hive, they need to win District Control and close the series out 3-1, or else it is not guaranteed they win this series against PK.
Yeah, I was going to say, that assumes that we even get down to that map number 5, right? Because right now, what I just saw out of Hive, man, that's going to be a scary team, especially in a control when they just get to run around sort of a smaller map together, a lot more of those close quarter fights. I mean, they're hitting on all cylinders. You're seeing these guys pop off for 2 pieces, 3 pieces. If you're a PK, you got to wake up right now because Hive has a ton of momentum. I mean, especially coming off of a dominant 5-0 victory. Of course, you're feeling really good. On the other side of that, getting hit by one of those 5-0s does not feel so good. So they're going to have to really kind of short-term memory wipe that one off because Hive are looking strong right now.
Yeah, and PK, again, this is a must-win, obviously, or else they lose the series 3-1, but it's a must-win to stay alive, but also, in a way, not guaranteed, but give you a very good chance at closing this series out, because checkout, we know PK is a very decent checkout team, okay? They can bang with the best of them. Even for Fire and Ice, they beat them, they lose 3-0 to them, but it went to a round 11. It went to a round 11, and PK had a lot of strong plays on that map specifically. I want to say, who was the most dominant player in my mind? Was it, I think, Dezo hitting so many sniper shots, quite literally getting the sniper every time. PK had that on lock. Fire and Ice finally countered him. But regardless, though, District PK is going to have to find just a way to out-rotate Hive because they did that great on Regency, right? Hive also did a good job locking in spawn control. PK didn't. They did for a short period of time, but for the large majority, they didn't. So for PK, playing as a team is going to be imperative. Wolfpacking like we know they can, what they've done in the past, is going to be massive because they need every member they can get to battle against Hive in those big 4v4 team fights.
Yeah, I mean, I think for them, the win condition is going to be really getting out early, stopping the momentum, kind of stopping the bleeding, right? Get that first fight under your belt, get that first hill, take a lead yourself, right? Because otherwise, you let Hive get off to a hot start, let them get a hot lead. They're just going to probably run away with it the way they've been playing today.
And also, too, Ryan, one of the things that we were touching on was the fact that Pittsburgh Knights, for a large majority of Regency, never touched the M-bar. They didn't touch the frags. They didn't touch the shocks, okay? So not as much on District as there is on Regency. It makes sense with how, closely confined it is, but you do have the incense, which are going to be in bandstand. You do have the boom shot, which is going to have at least that one critical shot, one rocket in your pocket. That is down in center. PK needs to find a way to prioritize these incense and prioritize the drop or the boom shot because they didn't do that on Regency. Lessons should be learned here. Get those out of the hands of Hive.
No, absolutely. I think that everyone's probably realized by now just how important that power weapon control can be, no matter what map it is, right? Whether it's a boom shot on District, something like an M-bar on Regency, when you have those weapons to your advantage, especially in those big team fights, whether you're on offense or defense, really can be so important. So it's very, very crucial that you keep track of those timers, that you're making sure that you are there when that weapon is up, because that can be the difference maker on some of these fights, especially a weapon like a boom shot that can do kind of splash damage, kill 2 at once, especially on a kind of close quarter map like District. So they'll be looking to see kind of who has the power weapon control, especially when the boom's in play.
And the second hill is where the boom kind of, not the second, I think the fourth hill or third or fourth hill where it's over in the left corner of the map and there's a spot on the right side that you can kind of stand by that window and have a good Lancer shot down on the, there's like a little box. Then you have the, Cinema just to your left on that hill. If you stand in that corner, it's very difficult to take you down. You have to go inside the hill, know that you're getting Lancered, know that you're getting chip damage, and then you have to try and get a chunk on that player to the right. And if you don't get that, you are going to lose your life. You're going to die, and then you got to kind of chain players and cycle players through. But if you have the boom shot, you can connect through that window on the right side, take that player out, and then focus on the players on the left side who will lancer you, will get chip damage, but you don't run that risk of being chunked from the player on the right. So the boom is a critical weapon to have at certain instances. And for Hive, right, they did a better job in Regency. PK, we'll see what they can do in this moment. But I also want to see Monkyz step it up. He didn't have the best Regency, despite his in-bar shots, which were crispy and phenomenal, but he didn't have as many eliminations as you expect him to have. But if Monkyz has a good game, and for goodness sakes, if... who was it as well? It was Sumuns. If Sumuns can pull off 34 eliminations once again, PK's going to be all right. They'll force a game 5.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they have to, right? The series is on the line right now. Of course, they made a good comeback on the first control. Wasn't enough. Again, if they cannot put themselves in such a deep hole, it just makes life so much easier, especially when we played at 300 points.
300 points, man. That's a long time to play. A lot of stamina, right? Blaze is one of those guys that kind of brought that up early on, Ryan. Talking about stamina, you have 300 points for control. Control can take 15 minutes. You don't get any downtime like you do in execution or escalation. Plus, you have a best of 5. Stamina's at an all-time high now, Ryan, as opposed to previous splits.
No, it absolutely is. I mean, you got to definitely...
Welcome back to Gears Pro League Split 3 Phase 2 Day 5. I'm Taylor Reflections Double, joined by Ryan Full Summers. Chaos is here in place of Monkyz. Monkyz having some issues with his console, but hey, all is well. The match has started, and PK takes an early lead.
You're going to see Solurs pulling up to the fight now with that boom shot. Players are going to be dropped. Trades coming on each end. That boom shot should pick up the remaining players, and Solurs does hit that final shot for Hive to take control of this first hill. You see Demise begin to push back. INZEM on the flank. That's going to put Chaos in a tough spot. He is going to drop. So you're going to see Hive begin to kind of set up around this first hill. Wasn't sure if INZEM was going to do a little execution there. Now he kind of paused for a second, ended up just taking the meat shield.
Ooh, that would have been bold. You know, this early on, I forget who it was yesterday, but they danced very early and ended up losing. So something to definitely keep in mind. But I do like the rotation from PK. One of the things that we know that they needed to establish that wasn't going so well for them on Regency was the fact that they weren't rotating before Hive. Hive was getting early rotations, early spawn control. But PK might play, now I shouldn't say better with Chaos because, you know, you can't replace Monkyz. But in a way, because now PK is just going to go back to the ABCs. They're going to play textbook control, which means rotating early, setting up early. They can't afford to rotate late and go into a big team fight because they know they're missing one of their dominant slayers. So in a way, PK might do okay.
Yeah, you're going to see them now. Unfortunately, a couple members are going to fall, but the scoreline's still very close. But you can see Sumuns getting pushed pretty much all the way back into spawn. He's finally going to drop, and now Hive are going to start to approach this hill with some numbers. TJ's going to get that kill despite being taken to very, very low health, and Hive once again in control of this hill. We're going to see where PK chooses to kind of begin that pinch from off of spawn. You're going to see Raver pulling up with a couple members behind him, but I don't think he realized that there's another member sitting there waiting on that angle. Good teamwork once again coming through from Hive. Chaos with a fresh set of incense. We'll see if that can be the difference maker to give them this hill.
Could definitely be. Demise backing up. Raver, Chaos, and Co. is going to be just up ahead. I like the fact that Dezo is also in mid to keep Hive in control, I believe, playing for the fresh boom. Chaos rotating around, but knows it's not going to be a good push because Solurs has the boom, and he's going to put it to use. Get a nice two-piece, and one more player you got to deal with from PK, but Chaos connects on his Solurs. He's doing a great job holding his own.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Solurs realized that the kind of AoE was going to be that tough on that INZEM. He does end up in the trade, though. Good job by INZEM once again, giving Hive control of the hill. But so far, we've already seen Hive take control of the boom shot twice now, and I think both times get double kills as well. So once again, those power weapons becoming so important, especially the way some of these maps are oriented. Sorry, some of these hills in this map are oriented.
Some of these hills are definitely oriented to, you know, kind of I don't know, maybe that's why District 2 is another good team-oriented map, because how the hills currently are. You have to be working as a unit. Playing as an individual isn't going to work quite simply. INZEM holding down spawn control. Sumuns knows, got to get him out of this spot, but it's not going to be that easy. It's going to take him down. Now 1v2 just up ahead across from Chaos and Dezo. INZEM doing a great job staying alive. Hive still in the hill. And they're going to have reinforcements there. So despite great eliminations coming out from Dezo and Chaos, eliminating that back player from the spawn, it's not going to be enough to take over the hill. Hive still in control.
Yeah, I mean, INZEM killed one there and then forced 2 other players to take a long time to kill him as well. So he bought his team a ton of time to come off the spawn, hit the hill. So despite only getting 1 kill in that engagement, that was actually a huge play by INZEM. And you can kind of see the way his body language is moving, right? He was intimidating them in the 1v2.
Yeah, I know. And any time that one player is doing that to your team, you know you're in trouble. Hive looking absolutely solid. They've got a decent lead. It continues to grow. We take a look at the scoreboard, and Demise is doing very well with 13 eliminations himself. He's got 3 caps, 5 breaks, so he's kind of doing it all. And the downs he has, too. You know, he's putting in that DPS for his team to get the finishes. Very well done. Hive, once again, rotating a bit earlier, but PK set up for new. Hive's going to have to break, and this is the first time I think we're seeing them break outside of maybe that 1 break on the last hill, but that was before it started. Now the hill is going to be in PK's hands first, and Hive, they've got to push in.
Once again, Hive taking control of that boom shot. They're just kind of finding these kills and picking them off one by one. It's going to be, once again, a boom shot in the hands of Solurs. I think he got the first 2 for Hive on this map so far. So this is going to be a big opportunity for them to get those numbers and to get control of the hill. They're continuing to roll. You're going to see Dezo in a bit of a tough spot as TJ is going to come right behind him. And now Hive, another opportunity to get a lot of good time.
Enemy spotted.
Yeah, Hive at this point not slowing down. This is a map that should benefit them after all because of their teamwork. Even with Monkyz being here, or if he was here in place of Chaos, I still think Hive would have been doing or putting up a phenomenal fight regardless. This is going to be for spawn control on next, so it's going to be an important fight for TJ or Raver to kind of win. And with the stun already thrown out, one's got to make a move, but honestly, it has to be TJ. Raver's in the spot where he needs to be. Raver doesn't need to push forward. TJ is the one that needs to take him down.
You can see them both kind of stalemate in this fight right now. Kind of just both being taken out of the mix. In the meantime, their teammates are fighting over towards the actual hill itself. It looks like Hive so far getting the better end of these engagements. You're going to see INZEM very just playing this distance very, very well, making sure he stays alive. It looks like Raver, though, does win that individual battle, but at the same time, his team lost the fight over at the hill. So Raver going to try to make an impact. It's just going to be a lot of work to do.
Ton of work to do, and it's going to be exasperating because PK down so many points, Hive up so many points that this gap is almost reminiscent of Regency, Ryan, where PK was struggling off the rip. It started to heat up, got the ball rolling, and once they did, Hive struggled to battle against them. Maybe we'll see that once again as PK does get a cleanup on several of the Hive members. Good Lancer fire from Dezo, keeping that pressure on. INZEM forced to back up to get the team pickup onto TJ. But either way, PK is on the fresh hill, and winning green is going to be important. And Raver knows, I can back up. I've got the cross, but not for long. And a good connection from Solurs onto Raver with the Ensign. Hive has full reign to pressure in on the Sumuns.
And you can see them continuing to roll. Sumuns is going to be taken down in the hill. A boom shot will be in the hands of Chaos. So the first time we're seeing PK grab a hold of that power weapon. So it's going to come down to where they decide to use it. Chaos is going to take out TJ. They mean now 4 versus 3, but INZEM has this angle, Taylor. They need to get him away from this spot. It's going to make their lives so much harder to approach this hill.
Yeah, so difficult. And, you know, honestly, that's kind of been the word to use for this entire matchup in terms, or entire map right on District for PK, is just how difficult INZEM.
Oh my god.
Putting on a clinic, and Solurs is there for the cleanups too. So INZEM stays alive. He's looking down the barrel of 3 members from PK and is still able to dance around and making it very difficult for them to take him out. And that was something you alluded to earlier, Ryan, about a Hive member just staying alive as long as he was.
Yeah, I mean, it's another situation, right, where one player commands so much attention from the other team and literally made them push all the way back into the spawn to take him out. In the meantime, Hive are just continuing to milk the hill, and then even then the PK players have to push out of the spawn where Hive will just have a nice angle on him as well. So once again, very well played by INZEM, very well played by Hive. PK, they do have this next hill. You're going to see Hive already has quite a bit of sort of like angles. I mean, a little bit of everything right now.
A little bit of everything, and kind of mastering quite a bit, it seems. Solurs double teamed onto with Demise onto Sumuns. Sumuns will fall. INZEM's getting pressured. PK being very, very aggressive, but could be their undoing. They run straight into the Lancer fire of TJ, and TJ's going to capitalize. I don't know why PK made that push.
And you're gonna see Sumuns trying to get a kill on the Solurs in the meantime, but Solurs is gonna take the Incen, slow play it, begin to push back. Hive can grab still a ton of points off of this hill. There's still 40 seconds remaining, so they're able to get even another 25 or so, and it's gonna put them so close to finishing off this control.
And again, man, PK, big mistake. No reason to push as hard as they did and expose their backside to TJ. Bit of misplay, and you know, that's not because of chaos. That's not because of, you know, Hive doing anything extraordinary. That's PK quite literally making a big mistake, and mistakes you can't make when you have a deficit as large as it is. And Hive continues to get closer and closer to victory. They won't get it from this hill. Only 10 seconds remain. Chaos catches Demise off guard, takes him down. Next hill, you've got player 3 Dezo. He's by himself, but he's about to get pretty much angled by player 8, and he's got to turn around. Player 8's going to take him down, and player 8 will win the next hill, and that was Solurs.
As you can see, Solurs 25 eliminations already, and this hasn't been that long of control, so he is definitely having a huge impact, playing well with the power weapons, playing well, of course, with the base weapons. As you have 2 players approaching him as Hive continue to milk some points. PK has to push forward into the hill because we're getting that much closer to the 300-point mark. Solurs gets a lot of good damage, and INZEM should be there to clean these kills up, or at least one of them. Some good damage into Sumuns. He is going to be taken out. Good teamwork coming through from the boys on PK, but here comes TJ over on the hill. He's going to potentially clean this kill up, and Hive once again taking control. PK, you have to get in that hill quick.
Yeah, quick, and they have to be perfect. I mean, they can't afford to allow TJ to do that. 4 points away, chaos inside the hill, but maybe things go well for them. TJ still clutching up, putting the team on his back, and that's going to be GG Hive. We'll take map number 4 and close out the series 3-1 and secure yet another victory. They won against Elevate yesterday. They win against PK today. Hive is on the up and up.
Absolutely, and you see Solurs, man, absolutely making it rain on the MVP screen. He was making it rain on the map as well. 27 eliminations, doing his thing with the power weapons, doing his thing with the base weapons. Very well played map from Hive, and honestly, a fantastic series coming out from Hive. I was very impressed with the level of teamwork I saw out of this team. Again, this is a team that can beat literally anyone in the league on any given day. This is a championship caliber team, so good to see them playing at what we know their potential can be.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And you called it best. You know, when it comes to Hive, they can bang with the best of them. They are a team that is incredibly talented, but they have been inconsistent. But at least over the past 2 days, they were very consistent. They have one more match that they have to play today, but I'm sure they're going to be just fine. But Sumuns, you know, it's not on one person, but Sumuns only picked up 8 eliminations. The other players consistently, I think the other 3 members had 11 across the board for PK, but that's a far cry from Sumuns, you know, getting 34 eliminations on Regency and then getting 8 eliminations on District. Hive, quite honestly, just out-teamworked the boys of PK. But I'm going to throw out a mulligan. Of course, you had Chaos there. You didn't have Monkyz. Things could have been very different. And it is tough for Monkyz, and it's tough for PK as a whole. But I think Hive played very well. And you can even represent that in the 5-0 victory they had on Training Grounds, right? That was a massive victory. I think Hive just clearly in this series was the better team, if I had to be completely honest.
Oh, absolutely. They looked like the bigger, faster, stronger team, I would say, over the course of the series. Of course, a very well-played execution map coming out from PK, but in the respawns, you saw Hive beating him to the rotation every single time. They were winning the team fights every single time. They were the better team in this matchup.
Yeah, they really were, and I gotta say I'm impressed. I truly am. That teamwork from Hive is going to be so massive for any team that they play against in the future, and you love to see it, you really do. Hive has had their moments where they play as individuals, and when they play as individuals, clearly they're not as strong as they can be, despite the individual talent across the board for all 4 members. When they come together as a team, it's almost impossible to take them down.